So I'd like to take opportunity today to discuss the topic of toxic masculinity, which I think that a lot of people have misconstrued in a number of different ways, right? The concept itself is quite bizarre because you can't be masculine, you can't like, okay, let's not call it toxic masculinity, but we just want to discuss masculinity in general because I feel like there's a lot of it that's been pumped out there, especially on Instagram or other places, and I think that is not particularly right. In essence, I'm going to try to just do this really quickly in that, not a lot of people actually understand what masculinity means, right? And likewise, it goes both ways in terms of femininity, right? So the concept of like masculinity is men today, from what I perceive, is men who slander women that they've themselves taken the action of destroying, whether be it through their own psychological manipulation without their awareness or with their awareness. But it's like these men have taken to destroy women, right? These are weak men, right? Because they don't have the control and the necessities required in order to actually cultivate women to become something more than what they are, right? Which is the term of masculinity, to be able to protect and cater to women accordingly. And so these women become somewhat crafty, they become somewhat demonic, because they're also possessed by not only the influence that men have on them, but also the influence that social media has on them, right? So these women have become very different to what we understand them or know them to be. So how do we go about sort of resolving this? Because again, at the same time, I think that the same way that these men are slandering women, women can turn around and slander men. In regards to destroying them and putting them down to something lesser than what they actually are. Because, masculinity means paying your bills. Masculinity means taking care of yourself, cleaning and cooking for yourself. It doesn't mean having someone cook and clean for you, right? If you're on your own. But then when it becomes a partnership, then you both come together as one, right? Similar to how the polarities of yin and yang come together into manifestation as one, right? So, a man is expected to be a breadwinner simply based on our programming in the mind, right? In the mind and body. Our memories passed down through generations and generations, right? Because toxic masculinity is not being a Chad, right? No, masculinity is not being a Chad, right? There's people that do these difficult jobs. For example, Polish, or just generally, you'd imagine somebody with a dead body or whatever, right? That would be considered as masculine or masculinity, right? It's a man who cares to his family, and in doing so, we lose aspects of ourselves because there's so many more distractions. So people will get divorced, right? These divorce rates have skyrocketed because the environment that we're in has changed drastically. And with this environment changing the way that it has, this means that we as people are deterred, I suppose is a term that we can use there. We're deterred to stay the course and stay the path, right? We are influenced without our awareness. And this is so true, and it's like, it's not something that I'm just making up, right? That's what it is. And so how can we overcome this? I think that, there's definitely a balance to be found in intelligence. Because if we say that we take these people that are saying these things, right? Can they build and run and operate a society? being a masculine person is knowing yourself, right? There's the spiritual side that comes to it, there's the mental side that comes to it, and there's the body side that comes to it, right? Like there's a lot of people that are not muscly and all that do these difficult jobs such as making iron, working in these factories and things of that nature. So remove all that, right? And there's people, and it's not about having money or cars or whatever, or expensive trips and things of that nature. It's not about that, right? But it's about just being in yourself, in your true self, and comfortable in the way that you are. It's not about fucking women, right? That's not what it's about. Because, for example, people will call you simping or not looking down at a woman because she's fucked a few people. Like, even if a woman's fucked a few people, I wouldn't mind spending money to go out with her to do things that I would like to do, right? So if I want to, for example, go out to a show or something, or for dinner or something, and get dressed up to do so, to actually fulfill and experience the nut, the ejaculation in a more fulfilled manner, and to create a memory, even if it's not someone that I'm dating, even if it's not someone that I'm completely serious with. But I think that it takes a lot to understand the difference between these one night stands and actually doing something meaningful. I can't. That's my understanding of it. Like maybe she gets dressed up as well. And we go somewhere and we do something, and then afterwards, we do something even further. Like going to dinner to me is like a must. Like I just don't see all that sexual malarkey, although it's great and stuff, but it doesn't define what your masculine essence looks like. Because all those nuts, right, they'll come back to you, and you won't know who it is that you, or how that thing or that thing experienced. And trust me, it's hell when you get the long and short of it. But again, it's about having experiences and having people to experience those things with, right? You want to do cool things. You want to go places. You want to have dinner in these places, and you want somebody to be there with you regardless of the situation, right? And so it's not simping, it's not being taken advantage of. It's actually just catering to yourself, the things that you do with women once you have them on a higher level, right? You want to go for a drink, you want to do these type of things, and having someone to go with, taking that they're respectful of who you are and what you're representing in that particular moment is something beautiful. Like there could be some hoe, but it's much better than just fucking some hoe, right? More so you're rather creating memories and associating that nut and making it fully valid for reality. So that's my conception and that's my understanding of it. I don't believe that this masculinity nonsense is about being a gentleman, right? Being a gentleman in that moment, in that experience, like ensuring this person is a human being and not letting them disrespect you, not letting them walk all over you, right? Maybe you don't give them your heart or something like that, right? But then again, you still take the moment to say this is a human being, a conscious entity that is growing up. And if they're too, on the left side, you don't have to basically be with someone that you can't agree with, or somebody that you don't have an associative that doesn't vibrate at the frequency that you're trying to operate on. So you probably wouldn't date those people, and then that's when we get into who's who and generally what's what, and that's where the difference comes in. So for me personally, that's what it pretty much is. Like you don't want to take a bad B out because he's not going to wear a dress. If you're going to wear a suit or something, or if you're going to wear some type of an attire to go out, you don't want to take a bad B because she ain't going to be dressed right for that. You ain't going to take a bad B to go see a play or something like that, right? So you got to take that all into consideration, and just like maybe she doesn't vibrate at the frequency at which you're operating or the level that you're trying to reach. And if that's not the case, then you just move on, and it's like, you won't give that woman there's certain people in this world that I'll be like, I would never ejaculate with, even if I had the opportunity to do so. And it's not being, don't get put down for not wanting to fuck somebody or something that you don't generally agree with. And that's just the nature of reality. Unfortunately. And sometimes I think that is, and that's pretty much what it is, really. And I think a lot of people are just like they're ego driven, so they want to protect their ego regarding not being, like taking the piss out of women in front of people, whatever the case may be. But when you grow up and you learn to cultivate meaningful relationships, you don't have to pay no bitch 10 bags. All you gotta do, if you got cash, you want to take time out for yourself. It's not that difficult. Go on Groupon, find something cool that's going on, and set a date and do something. That's what's meaningful. And that's what will set you apart from all these other bullshit regarding women, regarding men and their essential problems. It's unfortunate. I think that we feel hurt when women let us down. We feel hurt when a woman takes the piss, so we might retaliate in a specific way, right? And that's what it is, really. That's what I really wanted to say. It's just like being like, controlling or protecting your energy, but your mind, yourself, right? Protect yourself. Respect yourself as well, right? Regarding how you choose to generally ejaculate. Don't let people violate your essence. Don't let people make you feel less in defining what masculinity should be. And yes, it can be, it definitely can be toxic in some instances, but it's just taking the respect for yourself and just really cultivating that. Yes, go fuck, right? But you want to fuck in a meaningful way. Like, I get these random, with somebody that you probably slept with a few times or whatever the case may be. Like, I'm not saying that you have to make every interaction ritualistic, but I'm saying that you probably prefer it if you cultivate a meaningful relationship with the people that you're sleeping with, wherein you actually take opportunities to do things that are meaningful, that actually solidify the nut to be something more than just an ejaculation, right? That's my general understanding of things, because I don't really do that type of stuff a lot, but then again, at the same time, I'm like, I'd rather do things with people than do things by myself, and I prefer it to be with a woman that I ideally care for and enjoy the company of, than with somebody at random, or somebody who doesn't click with my energy, somebody I can't talk to, somebody I can't actually get to know because they don't actually know how communication works. They don't actually know how things actually function, right? They don't actually know how relationships are developed and cultivated. So you gotta escape those environments, you gotta escape those people. And trust me, the latter is more meaningful than anything one can ever imagine or comprehend. And that's pretty much it, really. And just be cautious, because some of the things that you feel or imagine might make things great or meaningful might not be what you envision. It might not be what your intention is, and a lot of things are ahead of us that we're not aware of, but then they hit us like a ton of bricks at the end of the day when the realization comes in, and you realize that all you have at the end of the day is ego relating how many women you've slayed or destroyed, right? So these men actively destroy women, and they're not kids as well. They're not children. Yeah, these people are not children. They're actually, that's what I'm saying, man. It all adds up at the end of the day. And I'm sorry for those that got led astray, those that lost that. But being a gentleman, we've been, you got to look to your past, and when you look to your past, you see so much beauty that you begin to understand that a lot of the stuff that you see and hear, it's all nonsense. And the same goes for women, but I can't really speak for them. that much. But the same way that you've got like your chads, you also have these other women that are like the equivalent of chads, and normal people just look at them and somewhat glorify them, but the actual fact is that these people glorify themselves through the means of what people find to be valid, right? What people believe to be a valid thing in their particular reality, whether it be TV or social media, and that's what it is. And it's usually just the children that are affected. So the younger minds are actually the ones that are the younger minds are actually the ones that are impacted by these things and concerns. So yes, that's pretty much that. I just wanted to share that because I've seen a lot of it on Insta, and to be frank, I don't relate, nor do I always agree with it. Nor do I always agree with the consensus of those particular statements.